This is a good list that I've put together, inspired by a couple of others and my own contribution. And I'd like to share this list with you. First, learning the power of purpose. A person who has purpose in their life, they have something to go for, some meaning. One writer described it, for some people it becomes a magnificent obsession. And for you and I, maybe it doesn't need to be that dramatic as a magnificent obsession. But it has to be something that does something to us, something that pulls us especially into the future. You know, there are many influences on us. One is the influence of the past. Some people are always pulled back by the past. Some people are always pulled aside by the distractions. But here's what's powerful. If you have a list of high purpose in your life, it pulls you toward the future. And the more powerful the purpose is, the stronger it pulls. And here's the other great advantage. If you have purpose for the future, it pulls you through all kinds of challenges and all kinds of difficulties. If you don't have these strong purposes for the future, it's easy to get swallowed by a bad day. It's easy to be almost annihilated by a poor month. And it's easy sometimes to almost disappear beneath the waves of a year. That goes backwards if you don't have something to pull you beyond that year. So if you want something to pull you through all kinds of challenges, all kinds of difficulties and things that come at you, you got to have something on out there beyond today, beyond next week, beyond next month, beyond this year, that pulls you into the future. And the clearer it is, the stronger it pulls. The more dynamic it is, the more it affects your life, your spirit, your heart, your soul. It also creates imagination. It gets your mind working on how to achieve that purpose. And if your mind will work, and if your heart works, and if your spirit works, and if you have good input, like good ideas, I'm telling you, there isn't anything you can't accomplish. So that's one of the great powers that will make a variable of you, and that is purpose. Here's the next one. Self-confidence. Where does self-confidence come from? Here's the best advice I can offer. Do not overlook the small daily disciplines. Self-confidence truly builds when you feel good about yourself. This feeling grows each day you know you gave it your all, whether it was running a meeting, making a phone call, or writing a letter. When you end your day knowing you've done your utmost, self-confidence naturally begins to grow. You go to bed knowing if you had a good day today, you're capable of having another tomorrow. These successful days build into weeks, months, and eventually form a triumphant year. Self-confidence emerges from this consistent dedication to daily disciplines. Part of good health is self-confidence. I know I'm going to be healthy. I take the Herbalife products, I eat the apple a day, I walk around the block, I do the jogging on the beach. At the end of the day, when you've really poured it on and you've done all the stuff, self-confidence grows. That self-confidence affects your health, it affects your future, it affects your psyche. So this is true. One of the great powers is self-confidence. Self-confidence means willingness to do whatever it takes to achieve. Some people say, well, I'll do it for a little while and see what happens. You know, I'll try a couple of things. If that doesn't work, I'm out of here. And all of us know that that kind of person doesn't have much of a future. But if you're willing to do whatever it takes, if I have to learn a couple of things, I will learn those things. If I got to learn 5 or 6 things, I'll learn all 6. If I have to take an extra class, I'll take an extra class. If I've got to read the books, I'll read the books. If I have to consult with people who know more than I know, I will do the necessary consulting. Whatever it takes, I will do. That starts to develop unbelievable self-confidence. Self-confidence also comes from the ability to rise above your circumstances, to rise above what happens. The petty little things, the discouraging things that would sink everyone else's ship except yours, that would cause someone else to quit early in the day. But you keep going. That kind of willingness to overcome all circumstances, whether it's the little challenges or the big challenges, if you're willing to do that, I promise you, this kind of power will work for you and in you, the variable. It'll make a difference. The third on the list I had was enthusiasm. And here's what I wrote about enthusiasm. Enthusiasm that's powerful is mostly enthusiasm. That is enthusiasm. Inside 90%, 10% outside. We all know what the enthusiasm is like when somebody lets us see their enthusiasm, which is like the 90% and only 10% of it is inside. But the enthusiasm that really affects people is not just being loud, but the enthusiasm that runs deep. The enthusiasm that comes from deep inside, created by self-confidence, created by purpose, created by genuine willingness to help other people. That kind of enthusiasm, knowing that you're going to get the job done, knowing you're going to affect people, knowing you're going to have testimonials flowing in from all kinds of directions. That kind of enthusiasm, a lot of it is quiet, a lot of it is unheard. And the 10% that's heard, it rings a bell. People call it genuine enthusiasm because they know that what you say in the outward display of your enthusiasm is only a small tip of the iceberg of the enthusiasm you feel inside that really motivates you to do the best job you can. Next on my list, to help you become the powerful variable, is expertise. Wanting to excel in all of the skills, and settling for nothing less than an outstanding performance. If you're willing to be the best in your field, if you're willing to demand of yourself excellence in skills, to be the best that you can possibly be in the training, do the best you possibly can. In doing a workshop, do the best you possibly can. Developing the skills of using your personality, developing the skills of language, developing the skills of influence, developing the skills of organizing. If you're willing to be an expert in all of the skills, Herbalife has the way for you to invest those skills and not only make a handsome living, not only make a lot of money, but if you would so desire, and if it would be your purpose, a chance to make your fortune. Expertise, excellence in skills. Next on my list, I want to address the crucial role of preparation. Preparation encompasses a vast array of activities, and a significant portion of our lives is dedicated to getting ready. Consider our schooling. First grade is essentially preparation for second grade, and the cycle continues. At times, the process feels long and arduous, as if the moment for us to shine will never arrive. Yet it takes time to prepare and get ready. The choices you make during these preparatory stages can impact your entire life. Preparing to have a successful day might begin the night before, or even days earlier. It involves serious preparation, whether for a meeting or a workshop, signifying your commitment to making the most impactful contribution possible. But there's a deeper level of preparation that's essential, preparing yourself for success. Life tends not to squander success on those who are unprepared. It seems to reason, why bestow riches on someone who isn't ready to use them wisely? If granted to an unprepared individual, these riches would likely be squandered, and the potential impacts on others lost. Therefore, don't just hope for good fortune or the fulfillment of promises. Prepare yourself. Ask what you can do to be ready. Remember, life isn't about merely receiving what we want or need. It's about earning what we deserve. Every value must be paid for, and only those who invest in themselves receive the rewards. It's said that those who give, receive. If you're looking to gain valuable ideas to change your life, don't expect them to find you because you need them. You must actively seek them out. Go to classes, attend workshops, engage in training, read books, and explore journals. Immerse yourself in environments where valuable ideas are shared. The pursuit of knowledge is not for the passive. It requires a proactive quest. Good ideas will not be wasted on those who do not seek them. So, prepare yourself to be ready, not only for fortune, but also for challenges and opportunities. Opportunities often bypass those who are unprepared. My goal is to prepare myself this year for what next year may bring, aiming to be truly effective this year. But I'm also thinking of ways. How could I be better? How could my ideas be more powerful? How could they be sharper, more clear? How could I reach some people next year that I perhaps can't reach this year? I haven't reached deep enough into my own soul to affect some people. Some people just pass by and say, hey, what a good speech. But how could I make it stronger than that? Deeper than that, more powerful than that? I cannot be as powerful as I could be next year. You can't go to the 10th grade and the 5th grade. You just got to go through the grades. But the more you are prepared when the 10th grade finally comes, now you can cash in and get 2 times, 3 times, 5 times more value from it by being prepared. I want to do my best this year for Herbalife, but I also want to get ready for next year, 1999. And then when the year 2000 comes, at the turn of the century, I want to be well equipped by language, by instinct, by temperament, by personality, by influence, to really be valuable. The year 2001, 2345, that's my goal. I'm sure it's your goal. Now here's the next one. There's great power in self-reliance. Self-reliance means you simply look mostly to yourself. It would be nice if someone just gave you this, gave you this, gave you this. It would be nice if everyone did their job exactly as they're supposed to do it. But here's what you've got to do. Primarily rely on yourself. Primarily say, I'm the person responsible and I will learn the necessary skills so that I can help people learn their skills. If I need lots of people to do certain things to build my organization, that is what I must have. But I've got to be the final backstop. I've got to be the final one that people can rely on. So that if this is missed and this is missed, I can catch up. I can fill the gap. I can do the job. We have to do it when we conduct meetings. We have to do it when we conduct training. We have to do it when we're in a class of just a few what someone might have missed. We're there to fill in self-reliance, primarily relearning to count on yourself so that you can do this. Never complain, never explain. Here's the next key power. Image. There's many parts to image. The image that others see you as, the image you have with other people. Both aspects are crucial. Consider how others see you. If they don't view you as a leader, they likely won't listen. If they don't see you as composed and in command, they probably won't trust you. If they can't discern your direction or ambitions, they won't follow. Conversely, if you project an image of someone who is confidently in charge of your life, your future, your circumstances, this powerful image can significantly influence others. It draws people in. They are naturally attracted to those who are not only powerful, but also judicious with their influence. Yet, there is an even more critical component of image, your self-image. This includes how you dress, speak, think, and your willingness to learn. It encompasses your belief in your ability to acquire new knowledge or skills. Whether it's mastering a book or learning a new skill, the belief that you can tackle and achieve these things is part of a strong self-image. This self-perception that you are continually striving to be your best is fundamental. Looking to the future is essential, but so is reflecting on the past and understanding your current surroundings. However, one of the most critical reflections is the one you find in the mirror. How you appear to others matters, but how you see yourself is of utmost importance. This self-image is where you build self-confidence and self-reliance. Here's another key element from my rather concise list: character. Becoming a person of high values, guided by principles and honesty, a person who commands respect, this is all about character. Consider the example of how Marx worked to develop a marketing system that embodied integrity, where outcomes were predictable and remedies were clear for when things went awry. Such a system requires foundational principles and solid character to be sustainable and effective across various scenarios. Without these, a system won't endure. I've seen, and perhaps you have too, many systems and initiatives start with great fanfare but ultimately fail. Often they collapse because they were built without integrity. They lacked character, being designed perhaps to exploit rather than to benefit, aiming to cash out swiftly and exit. Recall the time before Herbalife when Mark was exploited by those who lacked character. It was their absence of principle and their failure to do the right thing that marked those endeavors. So it's crucial to cultivate within yourself a character that others view as honest and fair. Being seen as someone who consistently does the right thing, who is helpful yet always adheres to a straight path, not crossing ethical lines, is invaluable. Developing such a character is not just about how you are perceived by others, but also about the real impact you make in any system or endeavor you are part of. When we come to an opportunity like Herbalife, especially multi-level network marketing, it is dynamic, powerful, and potent in fortune-making. Sometimes people want to speed up the process by cutting corners and neglecting to do the right things. To cheat a little here and there, to cross the line just a bit, because then it'll grow faster and you can cash in quicker. However, that's not necessary here. Doing Herbalife right will build your fortune longer and stronger than trying to cut corners and not doing it correctly. If you'll have the integrity that Mark had when he started it and keep perpetuating that, we will do the right thing by the marketing system, the right thing by a distributor who has a customer, and they take care of that customer. That customer belongs to that distributor. That kind of integrity in the marketing system, the kind of integrity we have among each other, the kind of character we have to rely on each other is crucial. Because here's what we cannot do. We cannot do this by ourselves. Mark's got to count on me. I've got to count on Mark. We've got to count on the president's team. The president's team has to count on the chairman's club for advice and counsel. We have to count on the millionaire team, the tabulator team, the world team. We've got to count on the distributor. We've got to count on the distributor giving the right message to the potential customer. We've got to count on the distributor giving wise counsel to the new recruit, teaching them the right way, the Herbalife way, the principled way, the character way. Vitally important. Building and developing your own character. Now, here's another one. Self-discipline. All of us have a challenge with that because sometimes it's easy, especially if you're working hard and doing the best you can, to let up and let it go. But remember, so many people, especially now that we're as big as we are around the world, are counting on what we do at the home office. They have to be careful, they have to be disciplined. It's easy for the person who ships the product from Herbalife to say, "Oh well, I'll wait until tomorrow to ship it." And then they go home and sleep like a baby. But the distributor who's waiting for that product doesn't sleep that night, or doesn't sleep when the product doesn't show on time. But if everyone commits to saying, "I will do the best job I can. I will make mistakes, of course, because we're all human, but I'll try to remedy those mistakes and do the best job I can," that kind of self-discipline that recognizes the importance of your role in all the functions that operate is vital. Here at HBN, so many people play a part, and each role is crucial to put on the broadcast, making it viable, real, and powerful. Missing just a couple of elements would spell disaster, but when everything comes together, it works like magic. Each person must develop the self-discipline to do their part, to fulfill their responsibilities. Here's another vital aspect: the power of extraordinary performance and demanding excellent results from yourself. This is crucial. To live extraordinarily, you must act extraordinarily. If you desire an extraordinary income, you must perform extraordinary deeds. If you seek an extraordinary fortune, you must meet the demands required to achieve that fortune. Mark has amassed such a fortune that it's almost incomprehensible. But what's truly satisfying is knowing he earned it all. Had he been lax in his performance, Herbalife would not have survived these 18 years. It would have been a mere footnote in multi-level marketing history. But because he consistently performed on the 3rd year, the 5th year, the 7th year, the 10th year, and so on, now in the 18th year, it has made a viable fortune for Mark personally, because he did the job. We should demand this level of performance from ourselves. Nobody else can do it for us. While I can try to inspire you and share what it feels like to achieve your fortune, as it happened for me, ultimately, you must demand it of yourself. Society does not demand that you avoid a heart attack. You must demand it of yourself to stay healthy. Society does not require you to take Herbalife to improve your health, jog every morning, or read a couple of books a week to enhance your intelligence. These are demands you must place on yourself. Society does not require you to build a financial safeguard around your family or learn a list of 10 skills to secure your future and that of your family. These are not societal demands, they are personal commitments. If you desire these benefits, you must be the one to demand them of yourself. Years ago, I couldn't have imagined anyone asking for my autograph. Just incredible, isn't it? I stayed through midnight signing away because I never thought it would happen, but it did. Autographs and Girl Scout cookies. I'm truly in the market. I really appreciate everyone's presence here. How's everyone doing? All good? Anyone filled up 5 pages of notes yet? I'm glad to hear you're taking so much away from this. Let's dive into my take on financial independence. You've heard brilliant insights from Brian and Dennis, seasoned experts, and I'm sure you've taken great notes from their talks. The concept I'm about to share was crafted a long time ago, yet it remains utterly relevant today. One of our major goals should be financial independence, which I believe is every American's right and privilege. Here's my definition of financial independence. The ability to live from the income of your personally invested resources. Take a moment to jot that down. It means that the income generated from the resources you've invested is sufficient for you to live on. One of the prime benefits of financial independence is the freedom it brings. Now, you can choose to work or not work at all. You can select what you want to do, working by choice, not by necessity. And here's the best part: the ability to work for joy instead of out of necessity. Initially, we all work because we must, but reaching a point where you work for pleasure is truly liberating. That transformation happened for me years ago. My father always emphasized financial independence and living debt-free, with no one having a claim on your assets. I vividly remember the day I achieved that. It was a joyous moment. Since then, most of my life has been spent working not out of necessity, but for joy. And believe it or not, working for joy has brought me more income. It's built fortune after fortune. But it wasn't because I had to. It was because I wanted to. Now I work for joy, not necessity. We need to pass this understanding on to our children. Economics is crucial. They must learn it not just for personal survival, to ensure they can support themselves, but to understand that it's not just what you earn, but what you do with what you earn that truly shapes your financial future. This is all guided by personal philosophy, which is vital from an early age. Think of your personal philosophy as a guidance system. It helps you recognize and seize opportunities while also identifying and minimizing risks. And as we learn and grow, we learn hopefully early to spot the dangers so they don't overcome us. We learn early to see the opportunities and take advantage of those, maximize them if we can. That guidance system is like a sail on a sailboat. The winds are always blowing, favorable winds, unfavorable winds, stormy winds, economic winds, political winds. The wind is always blowing. But to arrive at a predetermined destination, it is not just the blowing of the wind that we have to deal with. Here is the major part. The set of the sail is what you learn. Gathering information from these 3 days, talking to each other, gathering more information, filling up one journal, then another one. Information, guidance on how to trim the sail, set the sail, the Sunday morning sermon, the lyrics of a song, the dialogue of the movie, words put into good structure so that they deliver enlightenment, information, knowledge, and we use that to set sail. And it isn't that you set sail once and then that's it, and it's over. It is a continual setting of sail every day, every month, every year. Setting sail economically, trimming the sail for your good health. You just have to set sail toward the destination you wish to reach, having good health. Then it's easy to neglect. Then it's easy to slide. Here's one of the better phrases. Everything by longevity tends to get off course. Everything by longevity tends to get off course. Whether it's a lecture like we've engaged in here hours and hours and hours, or whether it's a simple sermon. One of the most classic sermons I ever heard originated not far from here in the Crystal Cathedral. I used to do little speeches for the positive thinkers, breakfast meetings at the Crystal Cathedral, before it was the Crystal Cathedral. Little sessions they had in the morning, right where you could attend and hear some speakers. I used to do some of those speeches, 35 years ago, long time ago. Possibility Thinker's Breakfast is what it was. His son, Schuler Jr., was giving a classic sermon one morning, and I was privileged to hear it. Here was the notes on his sermon. It's very brief, so I'll give it to you, so jot this down. These are great notes. Here was his sermon number 1. If you think it's impossible, it isn't. That's number 1. If you think it's impossible, it isn't. Here with point number 2. If you think you know everything, you don't. Wow, that's good. Point number 3. If you think you're alone, you're not. Isn't that a classic? That's a classic, Summer. If you think it's impossible, it isn't. If you think you know everything, you don't. And if you think you're alone, you're not. Now, here was one of the spectacular stories in this little sermon. He told the story of Rich DeVos, who started the big Amway Corporation. Rich DeVos is in bad shape. Rich needs a heart transplant, and if he doesn't get it, he's not going to last very long. Now, fast forward. Rich DeVos finally gets his heart transplant. And what was spectacular about the story was, after his heart transplant, he has dinner with the lady who gave him her heart. He has dinner with the lady who gave him her heart. You say what? That's impossible. You couldn't have dinner with the person that gave you their heart. Here's what happened. This lady was desperately ill and needed a lung transplant. A donor was found, and sometimes it's much better in a lung transplant if the heart and the lung go together. So this lady gets the heart and the lung transplant that she needs to save her life. Now her heart is left over from this operation, and her heart goes to Rich Devos. That's how Rich was able to have dinner with the lady who gave him her heart. Isn't that a fantastic story? I love those simple little stories. 1, 2, 3, couple of illustrations. Wow. Just dramatic dynamic. Anyway, where was I before I got off on these stories? Here, your philosophy. Whether it's your philosophy about economics or your philosophy about marriage or your guidance system about good health, it's easy to get off track. So by longevity, we start. And sure enough, it drifts off course. And that's what sermons are for. And that's what the lyrics of the songs are for in personal conversation, is to get us, what? Back on track. Back on track. And hopefully we're not too far off track so that it doesn't take too long to get back on track. So maybe that's all you needed this weekend. You're doing pretty good. But in a few things, you've drifted a little to the right, or you've drifted a little to the left, or just by, a casual approach to some things instead of the serious approach. You're a little bit off track, and it doesn't take that long if it hasn't gone on too long to get back on track. But even if it's been a long time, you can start the process overnight. You can start the process decision-making. This weekend could be some of the most important of your life and your future. Not because we have given the seminars, but because the moment was right for you, and somehow it was said, okay, and somehow it was delivered with sincerity, and you got the message. And this weekend makes a pivotal turn for you in terms of the set of the sail. Okay, your philosophy now, your philosophy about money. Someone mentioned the other day the love of money. What about money? What about success? It's a good debate. I've got a good question, and it's not necessarily a high moral question, but it's a pretty good question. If you could do better, should you? That's not a bad question. Now, all of us have personal choice, but this is a good question, and a lot of my stuff is up for debate. I don't even claim to be right. If you take all these notes and throw them away and go listen to somebody else, I'll be just as happy. Because, it doesn't matter as long as you finally, get the ideas that make a difference for you and add to the wealth and the structure of your own life systems. That's what's important. Not that I deliver the message, that's all important. But piece by piece and speaker by speaker and teacher by teacher and phrase by phrase and book by book, we pick up the information that helps us to fine-tune our life and our future. But this is a good one for your own debate. If you could do better, should you? That's a good one. Now let's talk about financial independence. When I meet Mr. Schoaf, I'm not in good shape. Here's where I was when I met him. Pennies in my pocket and nothing in the bank. Because the story of the Girl Scout with the cookies had just occurred in my life. And now I meet this Mandev. Here's what he said. Now, to get started in a whole new direction, here's what you need to do. You need to develop a financial statement. So just make a little note on your notes there. If you haven't ever done it, this is not a bad place to start a financial statement. And the financial statement is very simple. It's a piece of paper with a line down the middle. On this side is the value of all your assets. And over here is all of your liabilities. Here's what you've got in terms of worth, and here's what you owe. And then when you add up all of the value of your assets and you add up all that you owe, called liabilities, we come up with what we call, now finally, when you subtract one from the other, your current net worth. Now this is not your net worth as a father. This is not your net worth as a parent. This is not your net worth as a friend. There's all kinds of worth and value. But if you really want your economics to go better, here's a good place to start. Key phrase takes a picture of where you are, and here's what it's called. The truth. Now, you don't have to publish this in some local newspaper, private stuff. But you have to say, finally, there's no use kidding myself. I got to take a picture of where I am. I got to know how good it is, or I got to know how bad it is. I got to know how much I'm on the upside, or how deep a hole am I really in. So this is what I started. It was a simple little program of coming up with my current net worth, my liabilities. That was easy. I owed my parents. I owed. I made the third borrowing on my car, and he was threatening to come and get it, drag it down the road, rear end up in front of my neighbors. So I had plenty of liabilities. On the asset side, I am really. I put my furniture even. I put everything I could think of. My shoes. I mean, wouldn't the Salvation Army give me $2 for my shoes? I mean, I am scrambling. And when I did this exercise, guess what it did? It really soberly gave me a current picture of where I was. And guess what? I was unhappy. But here's what's important about the truth. It sets you free, number one, free to correct old errors in judgment. That's what the truth is for, to correct old errors. After 6 years, I started working when I was 19. And when I took a picture of where I was, it was not a very happy experience. So now, where do we go from here? In putting together a financial statement, realizing exactly where we are. No nonsense. This is the real deal. We don't have to share it with anybody, but we do need to know the truth for ourselves. Now, here's what we need. Number one, perhaps a new philosophy. Let me share a simple philosophy that differentiates the rich from the poor. Here's what it typically boils down to. Poor people spend their money and invest whatever is left. Often, there isn't much remaining. On the other hand, the rich invest their money first and then spend what's left. It's a subtle shift in semantics, but it's like adjusting the set of a sail. It changes your entire direction, leading you to a better place in 1 year, rather than to a mundane, average existence. So the key is to adopt the mindset of the rich. Invest first, then spend. This shift is crucial because it's all about lifestyle. Brian touched on this when we discussed investments. I remember teaching this concept in a class where a teacher challenged the idea, arguing that with current living standards so high, people spend everything they earn and can't possibly save enough to make a fortune. This brings us to the crux of the matter. Consider a hypothetical couple making $2,000 a month. They just managed to keep their heads above water. But what about another couple making $2,500 a month? They, too, claim to need the entire amount just to survive. Where does the extra $500 go? Wisely invested over time, the return can be significant. The teacher hadn't considered this perspective, so jot this down. Money is always available to either spend or invest. The difference lies in your personal philosophy, not the economy. It's not America's economic state that determines your financial future. It's your individual approach. Here's a practical example. Consider a book on getting rich that costs $20. Some might argue a poor person can't afford it, equating it to the cost of 7 Coca-Colas. The choice between spending on trivial items or investing in knowledge that could build wealth is a matter of personal philosophy. Everyone, even the poorest among us, has money. The key is how you choose to spend it. First, how you earn money is influenced by your philosophy. Second, how you spend it is also shaped by your beliefs. So what's a good philosophy to follow for financial independence and future wealth? Here's a simple guideline on what to do with a dollar, ideal for teaching children as well. Never spend more than 70 cents of every dollar. Allocate the rest as follows. 10 cents go to charity or church, supporting worthy causes and instilling a sense of generosity from a young age. Another 10 cents should be used as active capital. Try to make a profit by buying and selling. The last 10 cents should be passive capital. Let someone else use this money to generate a return for you. This method isn't just about immediate returns, it's about setting a foundation for financial habits that can lead to substantial growth over time. Even if you're currently in a tight financial spot, perhaps spending 97% of your income on necessities, the key is to start somewhere. Even allocating just 1% in each category is a step in the right direction. This philosophy is about progression, not perfection, from the outset. Mr. Schoff once shared a profound insight with me that has guided me throughout the years. He said, "It's not the amount that counts, it's the plan that counts." When I first met him, I believed that more money would lead to a better plan. He corrected me. No, if you had a better plan, you'd have more money. So if you must start with what seems like a disadvantage, 97, 1, 1, and 1, then that's your starting point. What follows is the challenge of adjusting these figures, reducing the 97 and increasing the others. This becomes a thrilling endeavor, akin to playing a game where you measure progress. It's one of the greatest motivators in the world to start something and see it grow and improve. Although Jim Rohn suggested the ideal ratio of 70, 10, 10, and 10, not everyone can start there. Some may need to begin with 97, 1, 1, and 1, and that's perfectly acceptable. If this is where you need to start, embrace it. Then gradually work to decrease the 97 and enhance the other numbers, transforming this process into an engaging game until you can ideally manage your finances with the 70, 10, 10, and 10 approach. This strategy isn't just about managing paychecks or dividends, it's about fundamentally understanding how to handle any income you receive. I've taught this method to many, like Sarah Alfaro in Mexico, who has passed this knowledge on to others for a decade. Now, many of them are thriving, owning homes and cars, proof that these principles work when applied diligently. As your financial situation improves and you start handling significant sums, these ratios will need adjustment. Personally, I don't spend more than 10% of my income now, which drastically changes how the remaining 90% is allocated. The goal is to progress from your starting point to an ideal state and then adjust again as your financial capacity expands. This flexibility is crucial because when dealing with substantial income, spending 70% would be impractical and excessive. Now, as we wrap up, I want to touch on the broader responsibilities we hold. This strategy isn't mandated by any law. There's no legal requirement to avoid a heart attack, to have a robust financial plan, or to ensure your family's future security. These are responsibilities you must choose to undertake yourself. It's crucial to maintain strict accounts. Not knowing where your money goes is laughable in personal finance and disastrous in leadership. "It just gets away from me" should never be a phrase you utter. Keeping precise accounts is not only essential for personal esteem, but also for legal and financial security. Moreover, paying taxes should be a responsibility we meet with understanding, not reluctance. I'm currently finishing a book titled "Kids Should Pay Taxes," emphasizing why everyone should contribute. In California, even a 10-year-old is taught the value of their contributions through sales tax, a fundamental lesson in civic responsibility. Taxes fund the infrastructure and services we often take for granted. They pay for the roads we drive on, the security that allows us to sleep safely at night, and the military that protects us while we rest. Understanding where taxes go helps foster a healthier perspective on this civic duty. Ultimately, becoming a contented taxpayer is about seeing the bigger picture. It's about recognizing that while the system isn't perfect, contributing to it is part of our shared responsibility. It's a crucial aspect of living in a society where we all benefit collectively. This is how I became what I like to call a happy taxpayer. So Jesus and his disciples are watching people come into the synagogue. And the custom was, before they came into the synagogue, they deposited a contribution. They deposited the contribution, went on into the church. The story says, some came with large contributions and went in. Some came with small contributions and went in. And as the disciples and Jesus watched, a little lady came along and she put 2 pennies in the treasury and walked in too. And Jesus said, "Look at that." And his disciples said, 2 pennies. 2 pennies, what's 2 pennies? He said, "No, you don't understand. She gave more than everybody else." They said, 2 pennies is more than everybody else. He said, "Yes, because I'm sure that 2 pennies represented almost all of what she had." So since her 2 pennies represented almost all of what she had, she gave the most. What a classic philosophy. Now here's what did not occur. I'm so brilliant I can give you what the storyteller left out. Here's what did not occur in this little scene. When the little lady put her 2 pennies in the treasury, Jesus and his disciples did not run after her and say, "Hey, hold it. Hold it, little lady. Hold it, little lady. We've observed what's happened with putting the 2 pennies in the treasury, and we've decided that you're so pitiful and you're so poor that we've decided to give you back your 2 pennies." I'm here to tell you that did not occur. So make this note from this little story. Jesus left her 2 pennies in the treasury, even though it was most of what she had. Wow. That's such a classic lesson in philosophy. That's such a classic lesson in what all of us are involved in making contributions. Shouldn't everybody wish to pay? The government has decided to leave some people that they consider poor and pitiful off the tax rolls. See, that's unthinkable. Shouldn't they, even if they only pay the dollar, so that they can be able to say what I pay, I make my contribution, no matter how poor I am? If all I've got's pennies, I give some as contribution, whether it's taxes or whether it's benevolence or whatever it is, okay? Isn't that a great story? It's a good story. Then another one that really helped me help them secure a fortune. And fortunes after. Here it is. Learn to help people not just with their jobs, but with their lives. I learned early in my accelerated business career to teach life skills as well as business skills, work skills, and job skills. Because guess what? We need both work skills and life skills. Here's the last one. It's a promise from the Bible. Here's what it says. If you work on your gifts, they will make room for you. If you work on your gifts, they will make room for you. They'll make a place for you. You'll be invited to some extraordinary places if you keep working on your gifts. Make yourself valuable, make yourself attractive, make yourself unique. Become a person who has plenty to give and plenty to share, whether it's ideas or money or treasure or time. If you will work on that, you'll have places. Look where my gifts have brought me from the farm country of Idaho to this magnificent place to serve, share ideas, my experiences. Hopefully that will make a difference. And last, when I'm gone, people always ask, what would you like said after you're gone? And I came up with something the other day. It was pretty simple. Here it is. Jim Rohn made a major contribution to someone. Jim Rohn made a major contribution to someone. And then another one. And another one. And another one. Wow. And that journey continues for me. So if you've got my name on your notes, which hopefully I'm sure you have when we leave here, I go with you, these notes and all the experience that we've had. But I promise you this, as we leave here, I will not leave you behind. I'll take you with me in my thoughts and my heart. Thank you very much. God bless.